Many major companies wind up pretty shocked when they find out that a law applies to them. They're used to laws, well, not applying to them. And we can see this distaste for having to follow the rules when it comes to Belgium deciding that in-game gambling is in fact gambling and wants loot boxes out of video games. Big publishers have been complying with this rule, although they don't call it the law, they call it the Belgium Gambling Commission's interpretation of the law. But Electronic Arts has decided to be defiant. If you can trust Electronic Arts to take a stand on anything, it'll be gambling. They don't have many principles, but when it comes to making money, you damn right they're gonna take a bold and brave stance. They will fight for your right to be exploited. Big thanks to Gel, who sent this in from Newsblood and kindly translated it for me. The rough translation of the story is as follows. Gambling Commission to battle against FIFA 18 and 19. 3 developers bent the knee, but Electronic Arts refuses to change so-called loot boxes from the popular game FIFA 18. Even more, in FIFA 19, people will also be able to buy the virtual surprise boxes with real money. This is gambling, says the Gambling Commission. Meanwhile, EA has received a charge. Those who don't accommodate risk prosecution. It's now up to the State Council's office. The Commission wants to prosecute the developer because loot boxes are actually illegal games of chance. Gamers don't know what a loot box contains when they buy it. Luck determines whether or not you receive a rare object. Before summer, EA's CEO Andrew Wilson emphasised they wouldn't quit the loot boxes. Even in FIFA 19, which releases at the end of the month, loot boxes will be available. According to Wilson, it isn't gambling, as players know exactly how many objects they receive. Have they ever actually told us what they are if they're not gambling? The comparison to the popular Panini football stickers intrudes, but isn't justifiable according to Peter Nascence of the Commission. Panini prints equal amounts of stickers of all footballers. It isn't a roulette between common and rare stickers, which is the case with FIFA 18. According to Nascence, the game has lost its innocence. Players lose thousands of euros. We responded to complaints by parents, but also by the gaming community. Loot boxes are an important source of income for EA. About 67% of all income, about €3 billion, comes out of digital sales. According to Forbes, the share of loot boxes therein is crucial. Little purchases in games generate more income than the sale of more expensive brand new games. The Commission awaits prosecution by the State Council's office. If it does, it's up to the judge. If he puts us in the wrong, we will plead to change the gambling law so that we can take on loot boxes. So this is an interesting twist in the tale, is it not? Electronic Arts is putting on its big boy pants to show us what a big boy it is, biting its thumb at the law and deciding to take this to court. Whether they'll win or not remains to be seen. I'll be eyeing it up with keen interest either way, but they've certainly made it loud and clear that they absolutely want this gambling in, which is quite funny for a company that removed loot boxes from Star Wars Battlefront 2 thanks to Backlash, acted all contrite about it, promised that loot boxes wouldn't be in the next Star Wars game. They made a big show of that, didn't they? And it turns out that while they want to be patted on the back for not having loot boxes in their games, they will fight tooth and nail to keep the ones they still have. If EA wins, of course, then this sets the precedent that loot boxes can be shoveled right back into games, and you'll probably see Overwatch turn right back around, pop them back in. You'll see Heroes of the Storm do the same. You'll see 2K games do it with the NBA games. They'll just shovel them right back in and carry on as normal, which will just be another day, another few $1 billion as far as the game industry goes. I just think it's funny watching publishers have to take them out. I don't actually have a major emotional skin in the game, outside of pointing at these laws and saying I was right when I warned the game industry consistently and constantly that if they weren't going to reel in their fucking avarice, then some politician or some legal system would do it for them. Valve, Activision Blizzard and 2K Games have decided this isn't a fight worth having in Belgium, but I'm sure Electronic Arts doesn't want to set the precedent. It doesn't want to be seen to be admitting anywhere in the world that what it's doing is anywhere close to gambling. This is why companies like Blizzard have only ever called this Belgium Gambling Commission ruling an interpretation of the law. If they say it's the law, they will say that loot boxes brush up against it and therefore they're gambling. So it's just the BGC's interpretation that they're going against. And if Electronic Arts wins this fight, they will be able to continually say that loot boxes are not gambling. I, however, will continue to say they are gambling regardless of the outcome here. You're taking money for games of chance, you're offering gambling. What is it if not a gamble, a wager, a bet? Especially in the case of the FIFA games where people have ended up spending obscene amounts of money on it. Sometimes accruing debt they struggle to pay off, and people want to point at them and say, oh well, it's their fault, buyer beware. But if you're using gambling mechanics to, say, prey upon people with gambling issues, and doing so without any regulation whatsoever, any sort of limitation, well then I think that's on the publisher just as much as anybody bloody else. At least Panini stickers give you something physical, and with the duplicates you can swap them with other collectors or just flog them at a shop, you know, same with the Magic the Gathering cards and stuff like that. I don't necessarily care for randomized bullshit like that anyway, same with even like the blind box figures that you can get. I think it is sleazy and I think that's a bit of a gamble, but I don't think it's quite as harmful as something like microtransaction based loot boxes. Things designed to prey upon players while they're playing a game they've already bought and are invested in the ecosystem. I think that needs to be addressed as well here. You've paid $60 for the privilege, you buy a game expecting to play a game, but you are really at the publisher's mercy at that point. They can batter you with microtransactions and little carrots on sticks as much as they bloody want. You failed to mention that when you brought up stickers, didn't you, Andrew Wilson? You little bollocks. And once again, I won't accept this argument that microtransactions, that loot boxes especially, are essential, that they're crucial to a game's success now. If they are, you've fucked up your business plan somewhere. You have fucked up if you need gambling to support the concept of making a product and selling a friggin' product. Besides which, and you know I love to pull this out, Electronic Arts already admitted that pulling microtransactions out of their games will have no material impact on the money they're making. Sure, it rakes in extra money, it rakes in salt on top of their soup, but it comes from the horse's mouth, not mine, it comes from the horse's mouth. As does a load of fucking shit, mate. In any case, Belgium has become an interesting battlefield here. If Electronic Arts wins, it will likely embolden the industry en masse, and we may even see more loot boxes going into games around the world. And if Electronic Arts loses, well, it may just cow some publishers. I mean, a lot of them already ran scared from loot boxes after the Battlefront 2 thing, so this whole situation may make them more bold. I tried to say brave and bold at the same time then and just went rolled a bit. Anyway, may make them more bold, or it may make them even more nervous. So more on this as it develops, and just in case you were unclear on my stance at this point, fuck EA.